Hello and welcome to my channel Crossing Cat. My name is Julia and today I'm going to be showing you a couple of builds that I've redone after the update came out. I know that a lot of people have reset their islands in order to use a lot of the update items, but I've seen significantly less inspiration for those who have chosen to continue to work on the islands that they had prior to the 2.0 update. So that is what I'm going to be doing today. I have a couple builds that I have completely redone since the 2.0 update came out, and I thought it would be helpful to share how I updated them and what my inspiration was. The first build I wanted to talk about today was my library or bookshop build. It was one of my favorite builds and I was even a bit hesitant to change it, but let me show you what it used to look like. This is it, my old library build. It's very cute, but also it's very 1.0. It just needs a little bit of an update, and that is what I did. Alright, now that you have seen the before, it is time to walk around and look at what the library looks like now. Here it is. I have used a lot of the elegant furniture. I really liked the look of it. The elegant furniture looks really fancy and regal, and it really upscales the look of the library. My inspiration for this area didn't change at all from 1.0 to 2.0, and I feel like that's important to note because I feel like a lot of people think that they need to redo their entire islands in order to use the 2.0 items, and that just isn't true. So my inspiration for this section of the island, the bookshop, would be like a library and a large house. And I don't know how to explain this, but I feel like large houses tend to have libraries in them that are completely wood paneled, and then the rest of the house is really brightly colored. I hope you understand what I'm trying to explain, but I wanted it to be a little darker and a little more formal than the rest of the island to kind of imitate that room that they would have in a very large house. Next up, I have the Able Sisters. This is what the Able Sisters used to look like on my island of November. Now let's walk over and see what it looks like now. And here we are. As you can see, I didn't change very much in this build, and that's because I don't use a lot of items in front of the Able Sisters. However, I did get to use the new corrugated iron fence, which is a new favorite of mine. I also got to use the storefront instead of the dressing room to extend the size of the Able Sisters building. I don't know why, but I really like putting something on the other side so it looks just a little bit more even and symmetrical. My inspiration for the Able Sisters was to make it look more like a house that had been converted into a business. I chose to make it this way because I feel like it makes my island look a little bit more quaint, like a small town. One thing I like to emphasize on my island is the functionality, so sometimes I'll place items in a place where they are not necessarily aesthetic, but it adds a lot of function to my game. So back here I do have a vanity in case I want to change what I look like after exiting Able Sisters, and I also have a dresser. And I found that these are really helpful for after shopping at Able's, especially because the wear your clothes out is the first default option when you're shopping at Able's. Now, before I get into the last build, I would like to say that this is the biggest build of all three. This is the most changes. I did tear down most of what I originally had. Without further ado, let's look and see at what I had before. So this used to be my orchard, but I have taken it all down. I really liked it when I had it, but it was just 1.0. As you just saw, this build is a little bit bigger than the other two, actually a lot bigger than the other two, and I really wanted to show those two other smaller builds just so I could show an example of 2.0 items being used in an area where I didn't feel like I needed to tear down the whole entire section. Now I'm going to take a slow walk through so you can look at all the stuff in the area. I used this area to create a farm, and I know that's a super popular thing to be doing right now. After the update, I know the update's not really that new anymore, but farms are still super, super popular, and I wanted to make one. I'm really happy with how it turned out. I think it looks very natural. I knew I wanted to use irrigation in some way. I've seen that going around, and I think it looks really nice on other people's islands, and so I did it on this island. For this build, I used pictures of fields from above as inspiration. Obviously, fields have a lot more crops in them, but I tried to recreate the feel of a large amount of crops by separating each crop into its own plot and then staggering the plots. Originally, I wanted to line all the plots up, but when I saw how that looked on the island, I felt like it looked a little bit too organized for the type of island that I have. I also used the dark and light dirt paths alternating, and alternated whether they were horizontal or vertical in order to imitate the look of a field. I think that little details like that really add to the aesthetic, and they really help it look more like a field. It was also really important to me that all of the vegetables be accessible. I know that there are lots of really pretty farms out there, but some of the vegetables aren't accessible, and I think they're still pretty. I really like to sell my fruits and vegetables, so it's really important to me that I can get to all of them as easy as possible. You might have to do a lot of jumping, but all of the vegetables in my farm are accessible. Next up is Kat's house. Before, she did operate the farm, and this is her house after. I really like how it turned out. This is technically part of the farm build because Kat operates the farm now. I had the idea to put her up on a cliff so she could watch over the farm. You know, if there are any animals that are trying to eat the vegetables, or if any of the other villagers are trying to steal them, she can always see what's going on. I'm so happy to give her the spot she deserves on my island. Now I'm going to show you how these builds connect on my island by just showing you a quick little walkthrough. And there's the library in the back. I really like how all of these builds turned out and how they connect to each other. Alright, now we are going to travel to the very last part of this build. Now let's take a quick look at what my beach used to look like before this build. Again, I had a really nice build here. I had a fish market and I really liked it, but it was just time for a refresh on this island. And here is the final product of my beach. I decided to put some stalls out and then put food on them made from the vegetables that I'm growing in the farm. I thought it would be really cool to have a little farmers market area, also a little place for people to eat if they were just gonna pick a couple vegetables and then come have a snack. This would be a nice area to do that. I also wanted to point out the layering of the baobab trees and the coconut trees. I know that that wouldn't happen in real life because they grow in different climates, but in the game, it looks really cool because the baobab trees are a little bit higher than the coconut trees, so it creates a nice layering effect. And that's all I have for today. Those are all of the builds that I've finished, and I'm really happy with all of them. I really hoped you enjoyed watching this video, and I hope I see you again soon. Really quick, I wanted to jump in and show you guys my map. I realized I didn't show you that in any of my other videos. As you can see, the builds that I talked about in this video are in the bottom right hand corner. I really hope you enjoyed the video.